Hello, my name is lbarr and I will be presenting the topic that I chose for Project A, Part 1, which was titled How Myths Influence Society. This topic stemmed from a broader interest in the ideas of Roland Barthes, who was a French literary theorist, philosopher, semiotician, linguist, and critic. Barthes' investigations bridge structuralist and post-structuralist methodologies to the semiotic evaluation of subjects as diverse as photography, writing, and fashion. Roland Barthes held a structuralist interest in myth, a term he defined as a type of speech. He utilized this type of speech to describe how bourgeois society enforces its values on others. Barthes found the myth, which he believed to be driven by French imperialism and grammatical exemplary, to have undoubtedly negative effects on culture in regards to moral values, communication, decision-making skills, ideas, literature, etc. Take for example the cover of Paris Match number 326, published in 1955, that Barthes analyzed. This image particularly angered Roland Barthes because it signified to him that France was a great empire, with whom all of her sons, without any color discrimination, faithfully serve under the flag, and that there is no better solution to the critics of a supposed colonialism than the patriotism exhibited by the pictured young soldier. This cover of Paris Match infuriated Barthes due to the mythical implications, which is why he used an analysis of the image to exploit how myths can have negative effects on culture. The myth relies on connotations that are not factual explanations of things, but are values assigned to something as a second-order reading of the object that is made to appear natural. This second-order semiological system sends a message to society that is perpetuated over time, thus giving myth influential capabilities. Since mythical speech consists of material that has already been worked on in order to make it suitable for communication, this type of language can influence civilization in a vast amount of ways, which thus raises a valid question. Can myths influence society in positive ways? Roland Barthes has obviously proven that myths can have negative effects on culture, but can myths have positive effects on society? The Green Movement, a philosophy belonging to the broad spectrum of environmentalism, is an example of mythical speech that has influenced society in a positive way. The concept of going green has encouraged society to be more proactive in regards to the health of the environment. This movement has brought to the surface an abundance of environmental issues that society was previously ignoring at their convenience. Some of these issues include, but are not limited to, global warming, climate change, waste, energy conservation, nanotechnology, resource depletion, etc. The existence of the Green Movement validates that myths can spark positive behaviors in society. These behaviors, like myths, can be constantly rooted again, thus sending a message that can be perpetuated over time. Mythical speech influences society through its form of hidden communication and intentionally driven messages that utilize historical references in order to successfully relay information. Within mythologies, Barthes elaborates, the meaning will be for the form an instantaneous reserve of history, a tamed richness, which it is possible to call and dismiss in a sort of rapid alternation. The form must constantly be able to be rooted again in the meaning, and to get there, what nature needs for its nutriment, above all, it must be able to hide there. Since myths communicate to an audience instantaneously, their messages can be delivered subconsciously, often without the recipient of the message even knowing. This ability to hide and yet at the same time communicate at a rapid rate gives myths influential power. Given that myths consist of intentionally driven messages, it is understood that their objectives can be exploited. Take for example another one of Barthes' analysis within the Eiffel Tower and other mythologies. Barthes states, further, by affording its visitor a whole polyphony of pleasures, from technological wonder to hot cuisine, including the panorama, the tower ultimately reunites with the essential function of all major human sites, autarky. The tower can live on itself. One can dream there, eat there, observe there, understand there, marvel there, shop there. As an ocean liner, another mythic object that sets children dreaming, one can feel oneself cut off from the world and yet the owner of a world. In regards to the mythical case of the Eiffel Tower, this monument influences society through feelings, ideas, actions, motivations, etc. The Eiffel Tower is a comforting object that essentially symbolizes economic independence as a national policy, as interpreted by Barthes. This object comforts the tourist, but not necessarily the Parisian, who has pre-established notions and feelings concerning the monument. Other myths work in the same way as that of the Eiffel Tower. They influence society to think, feel, and act in a certain or specific way. Through historical contexts, myths link specific events, moments, and experiences that society has endured. The hidden and intentional messages that compose the myth are interconnected with historical contexts in order to successfully communicate, often to the masses. It could be interpreted that myths would not function properly without historical references due to the writings of Roland Barthes. Within mythologies, Barthes states, "For it is human history which converts reality into speech, and it alone rules the life and death of mythical language." Ancient or not, mythology can only have a historical foundation, for myth is a type of speech chosen by history. It cannot possibly evolve from the nature of things. It is evident through the ideology of Barthes that myths utilize historical context to their advantage because this form of communication is built off of material that has already been worked on. By linking together historical information for the recipient or recipients of the message, myths establish control and influence society. Without this function, it could be implied that myths would not serve a purpose. Reading Barthes' interpretations of the myth helps one in understanding the inner workings and mechanics of this form of speech, in particular the negative connotations. Comprehending Barthes' explanations of the myth also helps one to see the negative connotations of the myth for what they are. However, despite the negative aspects concerning the myth that Barthes describes so intricately in his writings, not all forms of mythical speech are bound by harmful meanings. Trends such as the Green Movement showcase how myths can positively influence society in order to promote a greater cause. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender movement is yet another example of how myths can influence society in positive ways, in this case, influencing society to acknowledge equal rights. It is conclusive that mythical speech influences society positively and or negatively, since it is a form of communication that consists of hidden, intentionally driven messages that utilize historical references in order to successfully relay information. My name is lbarr, and this concludes my video presentation for Project A, Part 2. This presentation was created for GRDS 723 OL with Professor Louise Wales. I hope that you all enjoyed this presentation because I thoroughly enjoyed creating it.